Well, we finally made it to this point. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Dating here and say welcome back to another video. And today, we are finally going to be ranking all of the DMC games that I did play. Peak Comeback does not exist to me because that is a mobile game. But anyway, here we go. We got the tier list here, and I named them based on the different style rankings in the games. Of course, at the bottom we got Dole, which is from DMC 1, and obviously that was yellow, so yellow. And then of course, we got Crazy, which I think is from 3, and all the other, and I think all the other games from now on. And let's see, Badass, obviously from 5. Apocalyptic, awesome from 5. Stylish, pretty much in most of the newer DMC games, as well as DMC 1 as well. And then, of course, Smokin' 6 style from 4. So yeah, that's how I basically named them. Smokin' 6 style would be SS, and then we got S, A, B, C, D, which is technically going to be F. So it's technically F, so it's technically F, D, C, however you want to do it. But anyway, it is time we do this, and obviously since I'm gonna be doing the face cam, you'll be able to see my actual genuine, because I was gonna do my VTuber self, but I figured, well, might as well do this since I think it's a little bit better that way. But let's go ahead and start the ranking. So first, of course, obviously we're going to start off with the one that started it all. I did take notes on this because I needed to do some talking points. But anyway, for the game that started it all, Devil May Cry.
Let's rock, baby.
Now, obviously, I'm going to be ranking it based on how I played it. Basically, I'm going to be ranking it on how, my first time playing it and also my second time playing it. Because, I played through the original trilogy, as I said I would. So, yeah. So, DMC 1, when I first played it, I definitely did think it was pretty hard. Especially with the first boss, because, I don't know why, but, yeah, but the second time I did have a lot less trouble, and being that I did also remember most of the stuff from DMC 1, I had a much easier time with it. But we're gonna get to the talking points that so yeah, I have some pros and cons about each of the games, and obviously we're gonna be, so for one, I'd say the most of the pros are with, I guess the story more so. So the story for the original DMC 1 was pretty good, honestly. I mean, as the first game in the series, it's good. And there's not really any bad lines or anything. I mean, except one, but we don't talk about that. But yeah. Then of course, we also have I also have characters. So Dante obviously still acts like Dante, like how he should be, which is good. And then of course, Trisha's character, even though it's kind of rushed to how she goes from being this, a mysterious individual who shares the face of Dante's mother, Eva, to where, she ends up betraying you, and then obviously turning into a good person, which I think the character development is okay, but it definitely doesn't feel the best out of all the character developments in the game, in any of the games for any of the characters. But yeah, so those are my pros for DMC 1. For my cons, it mostly boils down to the gameplay. The gameplay has aged a lot for the past nearly 25 years that this franchise has been going. And I think DMC 1 has aged the worst out of all the games. I just I mean, it's an early PS2 game, so obviously it would age not good, but like it's still aged pretty horribly. And also, I do think that the difficulty in the game is a little bit unfair at times.
Ow! That's a fucking cheap shot! They look cold. Oh, come on, that's a fucking cheap shot!
That shit's stupid. But even then, it doesn't hurt the fact that it's still a good game. Just, I definitely would not go back to it every now and then. I would definitely more so just play it for a little bit of fun. And then eventually I'd probably just get off. But, I definitely do think it's still a very good game. And, I think I'm gonna put it in the badass tier, because I still think it's a very good game, just not as good as the other games. And now we're going to be moving on to everyone's least favorite game in the series, Devil May Cry 2. Well, I want to say the least, well, actually, yes, because people will talk shit about this game forever until the death and time. But I am not one of those people. I am one of those people who try to defend DMC2. Now, is it a great game? No, it's got a lot of problems. But most of the problems in the games aren't really major issues. But let's see some of the pros. I think the gameplay is only slightly better. Weirdly, I do think that DMC2 is a little bit easier to control compared to 1. I mean, maybe that's mostly because, being that DMC2 isn't really as polished as the original, it still feels a little bit nicer. Another pro is, a pro that's also somewhat a con. It's easy, but it's way too easy. Like, you will literally have basically no problems with DMC2 until the very end, especially. Even when I first played DMC2, I literally died only like twice in the entire game. And the only times I died were on the final or on Dante's final boss. Ironically, is the only boss that was actually properly good. So I guess we'll get into a con, and I'll talk about another pro later. But we'll go from the cons of, as I just mentioned, the bosses. They're probably some of the worst in the entire series. Not because, well, I wouldn't say terrible, but they are just either too easy or stupid. And also just about how boring you are, especially with everyone's least favorite boss, Infested Chopper. I don't really have a problem with that boss because, all you're really doing is just standing there and shooting at it. Sure, it's boring, but it's not terrible. I actually think that one of the later bosses, which I think is called Belvart or whatever, he's actually way worse, because especially when he has those two dogs jumping around, because those are some of my least favorite enemies in DMC2. It's dumb, because you can't because those dogs just jump all over the place, and it's dumb. Like, DMC2, bosses, horrible, and also literally have no character to them whatsoever. At least with DMC1, the bosses actually had some character, like Phantom and Griffith. That's pretty much the only bosses that have character in those games, and maybe Moonus, even though Moonus is kind of generic. I'll talk about another con with DMC2 is that its story is kind of all over the damn place. Because DMC2's story is just, it just makes no sense sometimes. And also on how, Dante is basically mute for the entire story, which honestly I didn't mind at first for some reason. But after looking at other people playing through the game and or reviewing the game, and yeah, I have realized, why is Dante mute the whole entire time? He shouldn't be doing that. And also, they just made his lines just worse overall. And then let's see here. And then we'll talk about one final pro with DMC2 is, I guess you could say, is only one character, Lucia. I definitely think she's the only thing from DMC2 that's worth giving her another shot, because, you know, DMC2 didn't really give her much character apart from that she is a demon created by the main antagonist Arius, and it's kind of a shock to, well, I wouldn't say it actually is kind of a shock if you play her story, which most people don't, but I did. But if any game needs a remake, it's definitely DMC2, because DMC2, because of how it is compared to the other games, it definitely is the one that deserves a remake the most. Especially, I mean, I still enjoy it, but only in terms of, you know, it feels like a DMC game compared to, you know, one we'll be talking about a little bit later. But anyway, DMC2, I am going to give it, I'm going to put it in C, because it's not downright awful like most people say it is, but it's definitely not the game that most people would be playing nowadays. Because when people play the original trilogy, people usually just say skip 2, but unlike me, I don't really want people to skip 2, because I want people to actually have their own opinions about DMC2 and not just listen to everyone else's opinions on DMC2. Okay, but anyway, that's enough for DMC2, and we're going to be moving on to everyone's favorite game in the series, DMC3.
Only one was left standing. Want to know the name? Devil May Cry.
Now, my thoughts on DMC3 has dramatically changed compared to what I thought of it last time. I used to think it was kind of bad, but that's mostly just because I played on normal, and yeah, that's one of the cons with DMC3 is how hard the fucking game is. At least on normal. Like, I played it on easy for my second time, and yeah, it was way, 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 way better the second time. I had such shits the first time, and I went through awfulness. But of course, you can only, but the thing is, you can't unlock easy mode until you die 3 times in normal mode. But that's pretty much the only con that I have with DMC3 in general, because everything else about DMC3 is actually very, very good. Because I'd say, because it probably has some of the best gameplay of the original trilogy, at least, and it also has literally the best story out of all the It probably also has the best story out of the original trilogy as well. Of all the games, I definitely do think that 3's story is pretty good compared to the other ones. I think a little bit better than 4's. Well, definitely better than 4's, actually. 5's, I'd say mixed. It probably also has some of the best terms of characters, because Lady and Virgil's introductions in this game were amazing, and I still think that apart from 3's Virgil is probably still some of the best in the series.
I need more power.
And then of course we'll also talk about, and then the bosses also have some of the best character literally in all of the DMC games. I say DMC3 has the best bosses in terms of character they all act different from one another. And then also the introduction of the styles in that game was also a very good change. Now, the way you access the styles is not something I like, but especially in 4 and 5 where they updated it to where it controls with the D-pad, that's one thing that I'm glad that they changed. DMC3 is a great game. Now, is it the best game of the series? No. No, it is not. I still think people deep throats DMC3 to death. It's not the best game of the series. Now, was it the best game of the series at the time? Yes, that is very much true. But nowadays, I'd say it's the second best game. Anyway, I'm gonna put DMC3 in the stylish tier because it's still a very, very good game. It's just not the best game in the series. But anyway, we're gonna move on to DMC4. Now, I didn't really have many talking points for DMC4 because, since I didn't replay 4 and 5, I just really thought about my experiences when I played it when I played those on the channel. So, I still say 4 is a great game, but that's only really in terms of game. I'd say that's only really in terms of gameplay. Because 4's gameplay is a very much great improvement from 3, especially for Dante. But of course, the introduction of Nero was also a very good one. I'd say Nero is still, though in 4, I'd say he's a little bit whiny, but he does become a good character now on, and I do like that, I do think that he does deserve to be a main character. He does deserve to be the main character of the series now, because we've pretty much already explored Dante's character arc to where we don't really need to explore it way more. 5 hours. Technically, but there's a thing with 4 that I do like compared to the other games. It's pretty fucking corny compared to all the other games. I'd say this one's the most corniest, but also the most horniest. That angle was not a fucking needed. Like, damn, bro, they did that on purpose. Capcom, you horny bastards. Oh, and the freaking physics. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think it's pretty corny, especially Dante. He's probably been the most corniest in this game that he has ever been, especially before the fight against Angus.
For I'm here to reclaim what is rightfully mine.
That is what you seek. And that is why I wait in your power!
You will fumble the opposition of my quest. Though I encourage for an opportunity to battle a being of such grand delusion as you is a sweet
It's hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, that's basically all I have for DMC4. Great game, but it's not definitely forgotten a lot, especially being that 5 is basically just a way better version. But I'd still think it's still the best. It's still a very good game, so I'm gonna put it in an apocalyptic tier, because even though it's not as good as DMC3, somewhat, it's still better than the original game. And now we've come to the game that I never wanted to play, but I decided to do it anyway because I knew I would have eventually played this game. And I kind of regret doing so, technically. But yeah, we're moving on to DMC Devil May Cry, or DMC times 2 as some people call it. Yeah, this one was a dumpster fire. I mean, I'm gonna say a dumpster fire, but yeah, we'll talk about the good about DMC Devil May Cry. The gameplay. That's all. That's literally all that's DMC Devil May Cry is worth playing again. The gameplay is actually pretty good compared to the other games. But yeah, I guess we'll have to talk about the bad story. It's probably the worst. Well, it's probably the worst out of all the series. Obviously, since, you know, being that it is a reboot, it just does not fit at all. It just does not work. They make Dante so terrible in terms of the character. They made him this smug, edgy ass fuckboy. Literally, though, because he's literally which fucking traumatized me, honestly. Other characters, Kat, I think, is just a worse lady, obviously, because that's pretty much what her replacement is. She's supposed to be a replacement lady, which, honestly, she's not, though she isn't a terrible character, I would say. She is somewhat the only saving grace. Somewhat. Not really, but then let's see. Virgil's character is okay, I guess. I do like that Virgil does work with Dante throughout the whole story until the very end. Spoilers. And also, Virgil, you do not look good in a fedora. Do stop wearing it. Yeah, before I do rank it, I do kind of want to talk about Definitive Edition a little bit, because even though I didn't play Definitive Edition, I did watch people review Definitive Edition, and Definitive Edition is definitely the better version to play. But of course, being that is only available on consoles for some stupid reason, it just feels weird to me that the Definitive Edition is only console exclusive. It makes no sense. But I did look into the DLC. I did look into the DLC part of the game, Virgil's Downfall, and I actually did like it. It's different from the actual DMC story. I do like it. The artistic style of it, I don't think it's great, but it's unique, I'd say. Yeah, that's pretty much the only saving grace. That's pretty much the only saving grace with DMC, because because obviously I'm gonna put it in the dull tier. It's not a great game story wise, but it is a good game gameplay wise. If you can ignore the story and focus on the gameplay, it's actually very good, technically. But being that I'm ranking everything, the story is just god awful. But now it is time to move on to the most recent game, Devil May Cry 5. So of course, obviously with the dumpster fire that DMC Devil May Cry was, Capcom decided, you know what, we should probably just go back to the original series, and of course they did. And of course they did 5 years later, or 6 years later actually. Luckily, so yeah, Devil May Cry 5, I think is probably the best in the series, hands down. I'd say the gameplay, the best gameplay in terms of all the games. The story, I'd say it's a tiny bit better than 3, maybe, sometimes. And of course, the introduction of Virgil's human side, V, is kind of a good one as well. I do think that V is a very, very good character to play as the, oh, well, not as good as Nero and Dante, though. Yeah, I don't have anything to complain about with DMC 5. The only complaints that I have, which isn't actually a really minor, which actually isn't that big of a complaint, I just think it's kind of weird. The thing, because they got rid of the consumable items in DMC 5, and just, you know, yeah, getting rid of vitality stars was kind of a weird one, but I don't think it's not something that hurts it because of how they scatter the green orbs all around the levels, so it doesn't really change anything. I'd say it's probably got some of the best memes in terms of the DMC franchise. And also has I didn't talk about any of the music with the other games because even though I like songs, of course I like some of the songs, especially like Devil's Never Cry. That's one of the only good songs on the original trilogy. But with DMC 5, it has the best music in the series, especially Bury the Light. Bury the Light is my favorite song from the DMC series, and probably one of my favorite songs ever in a video game. But some of the other songs, like Devil Trigger, is also very good for Nero. The other songs, well, yeah, they're fine. But does this put DMC 5 above DMC 3? To me, yes. It deserves to go in Smokin' Six style tier. It's still the best game in the series, and if you're gonna play a DMC game, or if you're gonna start a DMC game, I would start off with 5 first, and then obviously go through the original trilogy. But yeah, that is my tier list of the DMC franchise. Now, this is my personal tier list, and if you are offended by this tier list, comment down below and do whatever you want. But again, it's my opinion, so don't attack me for saying that a game is better, for saying that DMC 5 is better than DMC 3, or saying that DMC 2 is not as bad as everyone says it is. Because there's going to be some people that say that. Anyway, that's going to be the end for this video, and that is finally the end talking points for the DMC franchise. We are finally moving on to another series. And as I said in the last video, we are going to be playing Sonic Colors finally. Yeah, so that's going to be the end for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy the video, like, we appreciate it. And also, if you're subscribing, it's free, it's whatever. And I'll see y'all for Sonic Colors. Goodbye!